me plenty of that guitar.
And we're back talking about Brainwashed by George Harrison, his last album released a year after his death. We're going to talk about the last couple songs of this album. If this was an LP, this would be... Was this ever on LP? I don't know.
It was, yeah.
And we're talking about Brainwashed, and we're on track 7, Stuck Inside a Cloud, my personal favorite on the album. I'm just going to give that away right now. I mean, you guys both gave your favorite. This is hands down my favorite. This is my favorite George Harrison song when I was young. I don't think it is anymore, but it's just... I remember I actually got into George Harrison because there was this 20-song compilation that I got offline or somewhere, and this ended the compilation, and this was, to me, was the perfect ending song for any sort of compilation on George Harrison. This is my favorite song on the album. Before I get too much into it, I'll toss it over. Avery, what do you think of Stuck Inside a Cloud?
Well, first, I want to play the songs I get it mixed up with, and this is really just based off the title. I get it mixed up with the U2 song, Stuck in a Moment. And I think it's more because of the Stuck in a thing.
And do you also get it mixed up with the Bob Dylan song?
Stuck Inside a Mobile?
Yeah.
Not as much, but yeah, I can see why I might.
Well, what do you think of Stuck Inside a Cloud overall, Avery?
It's very good. I don't know. I think I've heard it so much that I don't appreciate it as much as I should. I've almost heard this. This is probably the first song off the album I've heard. That or Indie Road.
Probably those two. I mean, those two songs.
I think I guess all the compilations.
Yeah, I was gonna say on that compilation, those are the two songs I had, and this was the one that Any Road was fun. You got it Stuck Inside a Cloud, and it was the perfect ending song for it. What do you think, Garrett?
I think it's a good song. I really like it. Probably the third favorite song on this album. Yeah, something like that. And it's got a really cool melody and the chorus that I just could listen to all day.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things I love about this song is that especially the chorus. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but it does kind of float a little bit like a cloud. It kind of just lifts things into the air when I hear it, especially if you have a really good set of headphones like I do.
Yeah.
This song is just, I mean, from the opening slide, and again, George with that weak voice. But to me, this one over Rising Sun, this one to me works much better on this song because the imagery of it, and he's, you see, there's a line in the song, I've lost. Excuse me.
My will to eat.
Yeah, I've lost my will to eat.
To me, is to touch your locust feet.
Yeah. It's just such a you can sort of feel him slipping away, and if only I can hear you, but I'm stuck inside a cloud. Not to put too much.
The theme of this album, just beautiful imagery and beautiful lines.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm not gonna get too deep.
Never slept so little, never smoked so much. Lost my concentration, I could even lose my touch.
Right, he could even lose his touch. I mean, he was literally losing his touch. He couldn't pick up his guitar near the end of his life. That to me, it's I'm not going to be rude, but it's almost like he knew he was fading.
I wish that's the answer to give, but I don't even have the cure.
Yeah, see what I mean? There's just it's just line after line. This is why I think this song it kills me with this song. This is why it's probably my favorite because you think, oh man, that was such a great line, and that was such a cool thing to say. And then all of a sudden, it's the end. I mean, if this song was not on the album, I would obviously have a different favorite. But I'm so glad this is on the album. And we were discussing sequencing a while back. This song actually was supposed to be track 7 on this album. And the reason why I say that is because according to Danny, George's favorite number was number 7, and Danny and Jeff both thought this was the most important song on the whole album.
Yeah.
So I guess to kind of honor George's wishes, they put it at number 7.
Number 7's also a good way to bury a track when you have a 13-track album.
That is so true, but for some reason this one just stands out.
Isn't the best way to do it.
You're right. It usually isn't because you usually want a good song either at the beginning or at the end. I mean, obviously we'll get to the song Brainwashed, but I think if Brainwashed wasn't on this album, this probably could have closed the album to me.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on Brainwashed when we get there.
Yeah.
I think we may have polarizing thoughts on it.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Also, fun fact: you mentioned George's favorite number being 7.
That actually makes me want to go back
So
to.
it's fun to go through and see. Oh, this is his favorite song.
You know
Yeah,
who's also
like on
favorite
Cloud
number
9, it's Devil's Radio.
That actually makes me want to go back to all of his albums and see. Okay, what song is number 7?
Yeah.
But what about all things was past? Because it's a would it be number 7 on both discs? I'm just kind of curious on that one.
I'm not actually sure that either disc has. I don't remember.
No, they're both so long. They have to have 7.
You really think that for every album at number 7 he put the best song
Yeah.
on each one?
I read that yesterday. Yeah, and All Things Must Pass, the first disc, number 7, is Behind That Locked Door. And the second disc is The Art of Dying.
See, Art of Dying, I can see him really liking. For some reason, Behind That Locked Door, I mean, it's not my favorite on the album, but that's just my opinion.
Like on Cloud 9 is.
That's a really good song.
Oh yeah, it is a very good song, but it makes me curious that George's favorite song usually wasn't like the hit single or the song that maybe like he did a video for because he was promoting it.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't really. I mean, I'm also looking at living in the material world, and track 7 is the Lord loves the one that loves the Lord.
Exactly.
That one I can totally see him liking that one. And also on the album Dark Horse, track 7 is the title track, Dark Horse.
Yep.
Look at that. I actually never stopped to realize that. That's actually that's pretty cool. So
you know who else's favorite number was 7?
who?
Lucky 7 Samson.
Yes, it was. That was his
Really,
favorite.
Avery?
That was his favorite song. That was his favorite number.
Squirrel's Rock is awesome.
He even made it.
I know it is, but really? We're going to bring that up here and now?
Why not?
Because we're talking about George Harrison and at Schoolhouse Rock?
I think George Harrison would appreciate our talk on Schoolhouse Rock.
He was a man of humor
And of learning.
and of learning learning about numbers.
All right.
20, 30, 35, 40.
Oh my god. Anyway, oh gosh. So, but I mean, it's hard to come back to Stuck Inside a Cloud now because I'm still laughing.
It's just going to run so far already.
Yeah, thank you. Track 8 is Run So Far, a song that George had written a long time ago because Eric Clapton actually recorded it first on his album Journeyman, which George does play on it. So I'd like to find out why George waited this long to record it, or even if he recorded it back in 1989, it was just now coming out.
They did record it in the 80s. This track is really old, actually.
Well, yeah, I think it's a nice, fun song. What do you think of it, Garrett?
I think it's okay. It kind of plods along for me.
Have you heard Eric's version?
Yeah, I can't say it's any better, any worse. It seems all the sort of same to me.
I was going to actually bring up a point. Do you think this, in your opinion, do you think this was a song that, not to be rude, but George, it would have been better if he had just given it away?
No. He has a very distinct look at it. I mean, I could definitely tell the difference between his and Eric Clapton's. And I'm glad that George made his own version of it. It's just not my cup of tea.
Right. I mean, and it is nice that we get it because to be fair, in 10 years or even now, if we had read that this was a song George wrote and he had never put out his own version, we'd be kind of going, oh, well, we wish we knew what it sounded like at least. So it is nice that we do get this here. That it did come out at this time. I will say that. What about you, Avery?
Honestly, I have heard this album 100 times, and I'm having a really hard time remembering how this track goes.
I'm actually going to bring up a good point about this song, if you don't mind. We're talking about how this song sounds. This song, to me, I'm going to make a connection between this and another George Harrison song. There's a bit of the Run So Far where he sings... You fly, something is always done, and you know that you can't hide it from yourself. It reminds me of his song, Love Comes to Everyone.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Because there's a part of Love Comes to Everyone where he sings, always a part of something that's never aging. And then I always want to sing, and you know that you can't hide it from yourself. I heard it last night. It reminded me of that a lot. Especially that one part.
I actually just put it in my iPod just to hear for a couple seconds and remember, because I started remembering this. This might be the track that's buried in the album.
I will agree. This is a song that is buried.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how Stuck Inside a Cloud, it really should be buried, but it's not because of its gorgeousness. But Run So Far, and because it comes after it is track 8, it does kind of lose itself. Because in many albums, it's the classic bit, like the second half is like the slump of the album. In many cases, because it's not as fresh as the beginning of the album is. But like I will agree with Garrett. I like Run So Far. It's nice we get his version. If we didn't get his version, I'd probably be complaining. But it's nice. It's not my favorite on the album.
Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of it. It's really nice. It has that consistent quality the whole album has, but it is still the most forgettable song on the album.
Right. It does. Yeah, you're right. It does fit this album, but it's not as memorable. As the other tracks. That's probably not a word, but
Memorable.
Memorable. Thank you.
Fun fact: in the booklet, it is handwritten. The title is down as parentheses. Can only run so far.
Interesting.
All right. So I guess we're free to move on to track 9.
I think we're gonna have a similar problem with this one too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. Beautiful slide part. There's a great line in the song. You warm the coldest feet. It's a very sweet song. But I'm with Avery. This is the Run So Far, Never Get Over You is like the not memorable parts. But I like them. What about you, Avery?
It's good. I mean, I listened to this last night, and I'm still having a hard time remembering how it goes. And that is the problem I think both these tracks have. Whereas I'll never forget how Pie These Fish or Stuck Inside a Cloud goes. I don't remember remembering how these go.
What about you, Garrett?
I'm a fan. I like Never Get Over You. I think it's much better than Run So Far. It's still not, a standout track on the album, but I think it doesn't get. It's a little bit underrated.
It's
really bad. This is like my top 5 album of all time, and I can't remember how 2 of the tracks go.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think it's a song that you wouldn't seek out outside of this album?
I think mostly what I listen to for these songs is the arrangement in the BRC album Singularity. So it comes up nicely in that collection. But I wouldn't just go to my iTunes and say I just want to hear this one song.
Right, because if you want to hear this one song, you usually would go to either the beginning of the album or the last few songs on this album.
Probably just the beginning of the album.
Oh, see, to me, it is the beginning and like the last few songs, but we'll get to those.
Yeah.
I might sometimes put this album on shuffle, and if I put this album on shuffle and this one came up, I wouldn't hit skip.
I wouldn't skip it either.
Yeah.
Like this is
even the worst song on this album is still of a very high quality.
Yeah.
Do you think this is the worst song on the album?
I don't know. The worst, I really mean most forgettable, the weakest link.
It is.
No, so probably
there is
Run
no
So
bad
Far.
song on the album.
Right. It's like what Garrett said. The fact that it comes after Run So Far and Run So Far is pretty forgettable. This one doesn't really stand out that much. I mean, I do like it. It is a beautiful song, and I do like a lot of the lines in the song. But it is not one that I would seek outside of the brain of the.
This one, what's the album? It's really bad. What's the bad Harrison album? I'm trying to think of it. Gontrapo. This one, Gontrapo. This would be a standout song.
See, I'm gonna be kind of honest. I actually bought Gontrapo. It's not bad. I mean, it's okay. There are some really not good songs.
The problem is the very 80s synthesizer.
It's very 80s. Gontrapo is the album is dated, and I think that's why it's very forgetful. Also, it's forgetful because George did no promotion for it. He just put it out.
You ever seen the docu story, The Sea Devils?
Yes.
You know the sound effects they use, the music?
Oh,
It
you mean the
sounds
really
like-
annoying
Yeah, it sounds like
synthesizers?
they used the same synthesizer for that album.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, and the opening song alone, "Wake Up My Love," like you put it on, and you go, "Yay, George Harrison song," and the first thing you hear is "bam, bam, 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 bam" from like this
I mean, That's the Way It Goes is a great song.
Great
Like,
song.
I always go for the Concert for George version because there's those awful sound effects on the album version.
right.
It ruins that song.
I mean, I don't know if we'll ever do Gon Chapo as a show, but it's not bad. But Avery, I actually,
Probably.
yeah, but I do agree with you. If this was on Gon Chapo, this would be probably one of these standout
Oh,
songs.
don't get me wrong, Gun Chapo, that'd be still do those awful 80s sound effects.
Yeah,
There are some good songs on Gun Chapo. They're just ruined by the production
Yeah.
quality.
it's like Dark Horse. That whole album is ruined by George's voice, but some of the songs are not bad.
Right.
It's just that his voice makes me go, oh, maybe not.
Hey, Triple Threat listeners, especially Pink Floyd fans, this is Garrett. If you're a fan of Pink Floyd's Adam Hart and Mother, then be sure to tune in next week when we interview Ron Geeson, the man who helped compose and produce the album's title track. Geeson is the author of a brand new book, The Flaming Cow, The Making of Pink Floyd's Adam Hart and Mother, and on our next episode, we have the exclusive interview with him about his book and his work with Pink Floyd. Find out about how he helped bring it all together, how the name Adam Hart and Mother was chosen, and how he saved Pink Floyd from a possible downfall. All of this and more on a brand new episode of Triple Threat. You won't want to miss it, so be sure to tune in next week. Thanks for listening.
Now then.
All right, so we move on. So as we move on to the, well, I'm not gonna say the funniest song, but the only cover on this album, Between Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. I'm just gonna interrupt right now. Before, if any of you trash this song, God help me. I love this song.
It has that very. It's nice because it sounds like it's going back to his roots. It has that very skiffle sound that George Harrison loves, and they started out doing.
Yeah, with like the opening bouncing ukuleles, and even George doing the the 1 2 3 4. You know, very fun this song. And
Knowing that they started the Beatles started out as a skiffle group, it's like a really nice callback to that. It's nice for that's on his last album.
Garrett, what do you think of it?
Oh, this song is adorable.
Yeah, it really is, and I really do like that it is on this album. I should say that actually this is a song that actually was recorded back in 1991, and there actually is video of them of George and the band recording it.
Yeah.
Because this was on Jules Holland's show, Mr. Roadrunner, and George did make an appearance, and he did play this song, and I guess they took the audio from the song and put it on here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the reason why I say I'm guessing because I've always want to know. You know, we always want to know, was this George's intention? Did George always want this to be on this album? Because we know he loved Hoagie Carmichael, and we know that he loved to perform this song. And I gotta say, just because this song is technically live, George's vocal is killer, man.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? There was a story
What's that?
he tells. I think it's also on the Concert for George about how he'd go to George Harrison's house. And he'd always be playing with a ukulele and just finding new ways to play songs.
Yeah, Paul tells that
Makes me
story.
think of that story. That's how this version of something came out, the Paul McCartney one,
Yeah,
at his house. And he's like, I found out. Or was it Paul who did it?
it was Paul because then he played something on the ukulele.
I found out how to play one of yours on there.
Right. This is, I will say, this is one that, he kind of bounced to it, and you can just see, the fat man playing the tuba, and you can just see, the Jules Holland just pounding the keys. And if you watch the video, they're just having fun.
Yeah.
This song would be out of place if it wasn't out of the context of this is his last album.
Yeah.
This is his post-mortem release. In a post-mortem release, it has a really nice sense of just the history of George Harrison on it.
That's a really good point. Like if this was not George's last album, this would not fit on here.
It's such a lovely tribute to his history and where he came from.
I would agree. I actually never stopped to think about that. It is sort of a reminder of what he this whole album is like what he believed in, but it's also about who he was. You get the humor, what he was like. You get the slide, and also what he loved himself. Like we know what we loved about him, but this is what he loved as well. I guess that's why I love this song and listening to it, and it just makes me smile from ear to ear. I love it. So, all right. So we move on to track 11 then. If we don't have any more final thoughts on Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea.
Nope. We're good on it.
All right.
We're almost done. Oh.
Yeah. Track 11 is Rocking Chair in Hawaii. Really nice song. My only problem with that is that it's track 11, so you feel like towards the end of the album it should be getting really great. And this song, I feel, I'm going to be rude, I think probably should have been towards the middle of the album.
This is probably being the forgettable trilogy of Never Get Over You and Rent So Far.
But the problem is that Devil and the Deep Blue Sea come between those.
Yeah.
It's a nice little gasp of relief, you might say.
Right. You almost wish that Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea actually was track 11.
Yeah.
Why did they put something else in between Run So Far and Never Get Over You?
That is true, because it kind of breaks up those two. Because we were talking about how those two aren't very memorable. But I like Rocking Chair Hawaii. It does have a very Hawaiian, like, calypso feel to it. It's a cool little song. Garrett, what's your impression on it?
I'm not the biggest fan of it. I mean, it's nice to hear here and there, but I don't think I would listen to it outside the context of this album or the BRC album I usually hear.
Like, you're not going to put on this album and say, what am I going to listen to? Oh, I think I'm going to select Rocking Chair in Hawaii. Like, you're saying that's probably not going to happen.
No, that would never happen.
This track comes up with a riff, right? Because I think I can remember the riff better than I can the actual song.
The riff goes...
Yeah, I know it. Because for a second there I was hearing Mahawan Blues in my head instead. That's the problem with these songs.
But, so Avery, what do you think of Rocking Chair in Hawaii?
It is good, but it has that problem where I can't remember what I was listening to after I put it down.
Do you think I'm going to ask you this because I was asking Garrett, do you think you have a problem with it being track 11?
I mean, there's no really good place to put it, I guess. I don't know. I think you could probably use some space getting away from the other two forgettable songs.
That is a very good point.
It's too close to Never Run So Far and Never Get Over You.
That actually is a very good point. It's almost like they had this song and George wanted it on the album, but he passed away without them asking where to put it, and they're kind of like, oh, okay, well, we'll just put it here.
And yeah. Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is the only thing that breaks those three songs up.
Right.
I have to say, though, it's a nice little thing for George, for once, to be sitting back and relax in this sort of song.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I feel about Don Troppo, the song, which is actually really good.
Mm-hmm. You can see him like in his chair playing his ukulele and just enjoying himself.
Yeah.
In this song.
It's a nice little add up with the thoughts of the first song before. That's what I think about when I think of Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea.
It is true, and also I will say, whoever said it, I don't remember who said it. Like, it is a nice last gasp, especially we'll get to this before you get to the final song on this album. It is kind of a nice gasp to kind of say, oh, and there's George. All right, so I guess we're ready for track 12.
Unless we got anything else to say about this one.
Yep.
Going twice, going 3,
2, 1.
Okay.
Track 12 and the final track on this album is Brainwashed, the title track. Yeah,
what do you think about this one? I'm curious.
I freaking love this song. It's so...
Me too.
it's so cool. I mean, okay, I'm gonna be rude and still spoil it for a second. It's so cool that, I mean, this song is really in two parts. There's Brainwash the song, and then there's the chant at the end. But it's so cool before the chant that George was like, okay, I got this nice stuff. You got to hear my humor. You got to see what I love, my niceness. But I still have some problems with the world, and here they are.
It's funny because this might be the most preachy song on the album.
It is, but
it is definitely the preachiest
with my grandma who's looking for the mob.
That's why it's so funny. I love the fact that it just makes me laugh that this whole album is so beautiful, and then you get to the end and you just laugh and you say, oh yeah, that was George. He was grace and he was humor, but he did have problems with the world, and this is just he just let them all go in this song.
Garrett, what do you think about both parts of the song? Because I'll be shocked if one of us doesn't hate this. Okay, you're the one.
Here we go.
Okay.
I only listened to it last night for the first time in a long while. I'm pretty sure he made some political references, and political references never date one. makes a lot of references that I think are going to make it, that have already made it a bit dated, and it's only going to get worse.
Like what? I'm trying to think of what references. I think there's references to TV and cell phones, but those aren't really that dated.
Well, Avery, you have the lyrics. Isn't there a reference to Bush or something like that?
No, there was reference to Dow Jones, to NASDAQ, but those are still around.
But those are still around, yeah.
I know, it's just, he was talking about how they were screwing people over, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, because the song is a humorous song about how we are all being brainwashed and being screwed over and being, okay, so we
I'm surprised Garrett doesn't like it, because it's a very preachy song, and I'd imagine it'd be pretty polarizing.
Like, you're almost like
I can't imagine someone be middling on this song. I think someone's gonna either love this song or hate this song.
well, so
The thing is, I do kind of middle on it. Musically, I think it's catchy. I will say that. And I'd like to listen to it. It's just, please don't beat me over the head with these preachiness.
Do you hate the chorus? I mentioned this earlier. Do you hate the chorus? God, God, God. A voice cried out in the wilderness.
no, I like that.
I think that was clever. There's probably the weirdest and most odd thing. Just the oddest thing on this song is not the chant at the end, the Nama Parvati. I think that's actually pretty cool, and it really displays George's spirituality. I think that should have been a separate track, though. But just the bit in the middle with that spoken word and the really quietness, I'm like,
the soul does not. I got it here somewhere. The soul does not love; it is love itself. It does not exist; it is existence itself. It does not know; it is knowledge itself. How to know God, page 130.
I love that last part. How to love God.
Actually, he just put the credits for it on there.
yeah, I thought that shouldn't have been there. It felt really out of place.
I like it, but you know what? I bet that was Danny and Jeff putting his favorite quote on the album more than it was probably in his original notes.
And then you can just see, like, because let's be honest, Danny and Jeff were really two of the people who knew George the most, and so they wouldn't have put that in there if there wasn't a reason.
Yeah, and some Christian might put the favorite Bible verse on something. I bet it's the same type of thing.
Right. To Garrett's point, I will agree to an extent it does preach a little bit because he is spitting poison, but he doesn't really preach too much on this album. That's why I love the fact that it's the last song, because it's my stuff.
But even this, unlike Living in the Material World, it's preachy very seriously, but this is almost preaching with humor.
It is preaching with humor.
With humor about like a minute before the grandma was working for the mob.
Yeah, it is.
That is a clever line.
It is also.
Not my grandma. She was working for the mob.
It is kind of fun. I don't know if it's funny or serious, but to hear George use the sh word in the song, that for some reason makes me laugh in a very, that's just so George to hear him just say.
Avenue.
Yeah, just to hear him say.
Well, the picture in the back of the booklet, it literally has like the sign for Bullshit Avenue this way.
Are you serious?
Steady.
That's great.
I never saw that picture. That's so funny.
I gotta show it to you next time you come over here. It's like a picture of a face saying God, 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 and there's a big city, and a sign pointing to it says Bullshit Avenue, and in the end, and the princess says, "A voice cries out in the wilderness."
See, that's why I love this song, because it works on so many levels. Because like you're almost kind of like, oh, George is preaching again, but because it's such a humorous song, it's not. You don't just give it to him. You give it all. I am ears up when I hear this song, and I don't have a problem with it being the last song. What I love the most about it, as Garrett was alluding to, is the Nama Parvati chant at the end.
Listen, I'm surprised we all like that, because I thought it'd be very polarizing, but I love that too.
It is him and Danny chanting it at the same time.
Yep.
And it's such a, that's what I love about.
You can think of that as a separate track. There is a sort of lead-in where Brainwashed ends, and there's just sort of little transition when they go over to that trend.
Right. Like, it's almost like these could have been two separate tracks, but they're one track on the album.
It's because he comes from an age where the track listing doesn't matter.
Right.
Like if you had an LP, it does not matter that you have the track 13 and track 14.
Right.
Yeah.
But
because you have to all one go anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest, Avery. I'm actually kind of surprised that you actually like the Nama Parvati part.
I think it's because that this album's there for hard times. This might be even more soothing than Piping Fish when it comes to albums that are there for hard times. You can just close your eyes and listen to the chant.
This is why it's such a great closer, because every time I hear this album, it makes me sad and it makes me happy. It makes me sad because George is no longer around, but it makes me happy because he got it all out. There really aren't any regrets with this album.
I don't even know. I don't know if you know, but I don't even know what that chant means. I just think it's a very beautiful chant.
I don't know what it means either, but you almost don't care.
Well, it's all I know is that it's a mantra dedicated to the Hindu goddess Parvati. So there you go.
But that's why I think it works well, because George got everything out. He got the Indian chant in there. He got the preachiness. He got the humor. He got the beautifulness. He got the instrumental slide. Like, this album is like no regrets.
I'm pretty sure they used that in a concert for George too.
They used Sare Sham. I think it was. It was a different but very similar chant. They did use it in the Living in the Material World documentary. It's actually, I think, the last song you hear the Nama Parvati chant. It's so great. So I guess that kind of wraps up our discussion on the album then.
Yep.
So this album, we always rate these things. So who's going to start the rating on Brainwashed by George Harrison?
I would give it a circle out of a triangle.
Oh, come on.
Actually, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. One of my favorite albums of all time.
5 out of 5. Garrett?
I will say it's an excellent album, and I enjoy a lot of it, but I'm going to have to knock a bit off for the forgettableness in the middle and for Brainwash being really, really preachy and being the last song on the album and leaving me with a kind of a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I get it 4 out of 5 TARDISes.
Okay, not bad. And for me, I'm going to give it out of 7, just because that's George's favorite number, and that's just all I can think of right now. Out of 7, I'm going to give this 6 3/4. I give it slightly less because I do have a problem with some of the sequencing, and this isn't a point deduction, but this album makes me sad that George isn't around, but it makes me happy because I remember that I wouldn't have traded this for anything else. So I give it a solid 6 3/4 out of 7. So that's our look at Brainwashed, the album by George Harrison. If you want to comment on us, you can go to our website at www.mixcloud.com/triplethreat, where you can write to us, leave us suggestions, leave us messages. If we got it all wrong, let us know what you think of Brainwashed by George Harrison. We will put a link so that you can buy it, you can click on it, and you can listen to it, whatever, to get this album.
I page it, face something it.
Pretty much. So before we close, Avery, do you want to ask anybody to follow you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter and I am on Instagram at Sherlock Lord. You can follow me if you want or something.
Is Sherlock Lord all one word, or is there an
One word, Sherlock Lord.
One word.
Sherlock and Time Lord.
Okay. Garrett?
That's actually I got it from. I went to my DVD shop, looked at Sherlock and Doctor Who, and I put the two together.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Hey, Garrett, do you have anything to plug? You still have your album out.
Yeah, you can go find my album on Bandcamp. Just search my name, Garrett Hicks, GarrettHicks. I am not a twit, so don't bother looking for me there.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at It's Only Tom. There's an underscore in between those 3 words. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Only Tom. You can follow the show at mixcloud.com/triplethreat. If you want to hear the old episodes of the show, we are on the Record Rant podcast, which is on iTunes, and the links are on the show's homepage, so you can actually download those and listen to them, and you can get excited about that.
Oh, I almost forgot one other thing I'm plugging. I'm probably going to put them on my Bandcamp soon, but right now I'm thinking about making a cover of Simon & Garfunkel's Sound of Silence. And I've just finished making a version of Eleanor Rigby, which I've also combined with the theme from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. So check out the Bandcamp for that. Should be up soon.
Yeah, we'll tell people to stay alert and look on there for some great things. So we are Triple Threat. We have been your all talk and no music show online. And joining me, say goodbye. Joining me was Garrett Hicks.
Bye.
Avery Spencer.
be seeing you.
And I'm Tom Rutia. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. This concludes part 2 of our conversation about George Harrison's album Brainwashed. We hope you enjoyed the show, and you can check out other episodes and leave your comments at our website at www.mixcloud.com/triplethreat. We'll be back next week with another episode, so until then, from all of us at Triple Threat, thanks for listening, have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time. Was this ever on LP? I don't know.
It was, yeah.
So we're on. So
Printed there for like 50 copies at the time.
so technically would we be on side 2 since we're on track 7?
I mean, if Justin Bieber can get his albums put on record, I'm sure George Harrison can. Have you seen those things? Justin Bieber gets his albums on records.
Let's not talk about that.
I can't imagine the 12-year-old fan base Justin Bieber wants to have his albums on record.
Why would you want them out in any format?
Our fan base is 12-year-olds. Do this 12-year-old fan base care about it having the LP records?
Yeah, my 12-year-old base were all the Beatles CDs crammed in my dad's car while listening to time to time. So, just like Bob Dylan said, the times they are changing.
But his fan base is that little kid who said, "Why do they have to go see him? Why can't they just listen to him on their iPhone?" That's his fan base.
I forgot about that. Anyway, so we're talking about Brainwash. We're on track 7, Stuck Inside a Cloud.
Hang on a minute, Tommy.
Okay.
Edit this out.
Thank you.
I'm good.
All right.
Sorry.
And we're talking. You ready?
Yep.
I've actually seen that quote on a poster.
Yep.
And I kind of want the poster, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. I want that poster.
You'll have to take a look at this when you come over here next time.
Right. Well, I don't buy a lot of posters. I mean, I have the Abbey Road poster, and I have that Everything I've Learned from Doctor Who poster. But
I don't know if it was here last time, but I got a 50th anniversary poster with all 11 doctors, and I'm really proud of it.
nice.
I actually just put it up over my old Donkey Kong poster, the one with the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it up over that. It looks really nice.
What's actually on the poster?
It's a collage of all 11 of them, and there's some like Gallifreyan symbols. I don't know, seal of Brassel on it and stuff. Charts, the logo.
You have no idea. I'm so pumped for 3 weeks from yesterday.
I'm getting pretty excited too. Although I wish there was more stuff during the anniversary year besides 2 episodes.
Yeah,
Well, they are showing it in select theaters.
yeah.
I did not get a ticket because when I went online, it was like for the 25th, and I was like, I have not paid a ticket to see it 2 days later.
Yeah.
That's kind of silly.
Also on the poster, Colin Baker shoved to the very end so you can't see his costume.
Oh, come on.
I mean, you don't want to look at that costume though.
People give him shit for that costume. I
know that. That's not his fault. That is J&T's fault.
Sure.
Colin Baker actually didn't want that costume.
I know.
Or Strangled Perry. There are a bunch of things people hate about Colin Baker.
Oh, I know. I totally know, but it's just I like the costume.
You do?
Yes, I really do. I think it's a good look for the Doctor.
I do not think the Technicolor Dreamcoat look is a good look for him.
Well, fine. I don't
Have you
care.
ever seen his costume, Tommy?
For Colin Baker?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have it? You also have a poster with him on it too, do you?
No, I don't. But I think I should do his action figure.
Yeah, I think.
Technicolor Dreamcoat with all the patchwork.
Yes, I have seen that one. Yeah, because I've seen it on the action figure.
It is ugly.
It's.
Shut up.
You know what?
But the thing is, it looks better when he goes into weird space settings because at least it doesn't look as weird as everything else. But when he goes to like Victorian London, it looks so dumb.
Whatever. I like it.
I've never had thoughts about the costume really. I just saw the
It's the problem with all the J&T era costumes. They look like costumes. They don't look like something people would wear.
So you're saying like
even Peter's looks too clean. Like no one could wear that yellow and white suit and not get it covered in mud 5 seconds later.
are you?
Fun fact though, Peter Davison actually designed his own costume.
Oh no, he didn't. He just said he was a cricket outfit. He said that he thinks it looks too much like what a BBC costume department thinks a cricket outfit looks like.
Are you saying the costumes seem forced?
Yes. J&T had this. Actually, he was ahead of his time. He had an idea of branding and how to brand a show. But things are almost a little bit too branded and don't look real. Like Matt Smith, I can buy that I'm something someone would wear, even though it looks like a costume. But I can't buy
which one?
These costumes like that.
Which Matt Smith costume? Because now he's got two different types.
Neither of them. I'm talking about his first one. His first one's better than the new one.
Yeah, I agree.
His new one looks very like generic doctor costume. Reminds me of Paul McGann. It looks like just a super generic what you think the doctor would wear.
Yeah.